Okay, greetings everyone. I am the New World Order. Won't it be wonderful there? We used to sing in church, won't it be wonderful there, having no burdens to bear? Yes, it will be wonderful there. There is a wonderful, wonderful world that's coming. And this isn't it. This is not it. Trust me. This is not the wonderful world that your mom and dad told you about. No, sir. This is not the wonderful world that the images on TV promise you. No, sir. This is not the wonderful world that all the pornographers promised you. This is not the wonderful world that all the liars on TV promised you. Nope. This is a corrupted world we live in. And I'm just here to tell you the truth, you know. The truth sometimes sounds harsh. Sometimes the truth sounds out of touch. But you know what? The truth, when it sinks down deep into your soul, it may sound depressing or disheartening. But you know what? It'll make your soul glad if you listen to it and you do something about it. And you make the changes that you know you need to make in your life. You'll find out that the truth will set you free. And you will have true joy and true happiness. I wanted to talk about the fact that I've been listening to Lindsey Williams' latest videos on the Alex Jones channel and on YouTube. And I want you to know I've been listening to this guy I've been listening to Lindsey now for about a year and a half. I first started listening to him. I first heard of him about a year and a half ago. And I was fascinated by the stuff he was saying on his videos. The information he has is fresh. And the information he has is accurate. And you know, I've been listening to him for 18 months and the man has never been wrong. And he says, in the videos, he says, the people I get my information from, he says, I'm not a prophet. I'm not a seer. He says, I know these people who are in charge of the world. He says, I get my information from the elites. He says, I was their pastor for 3 years up in Alaska. You know the story if you know who Lindsey Williams is. Dig in, find out for yourself. But he says, they're not God. They're not always right. And they don't always get what they want. Their timetable isn't always 100% accurate. But the one thing that you can bet on is they have a God that they serve, and his name is Lucifer. And he has a plan, and they want to follow his plan. Their desire, they have given themselves over to following the plan of Lucifer. It's been written down. It was written down. They have their own Bible. It's been written down hundreds of years ago. It's not a secret. It's out in the open. They couldn't do it by themselves. They're doing it through an evil spirit, through the God of this world. They're doing it through supernatural means. Let me tell you, there is a struggle going on between good and evil. That's the world we live in. There's a wonderful new world coming. But we have to get through the bumps in the road first, because the Luciferians are dragging us down to hell. And it's time to wake up. And those who listen put themselves under the shadow of the wings of the Almighty. Psalm 91, read your Bible. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd. I will never lack. Read it. Believe it. Act on it. Because, you know, William Paley said there is a principle which is a bar against all information, which is proof against all arguments, and which cannot fail to keep a man in everlasting ignorance. And that principle is contempt prior to investigation. So investigate it for yourself. I've investigated it, and I found it to be true. And so what Lindsey said is right. He's been right down the right. You know, he's been right about everything. And anyway, in his latest videos, I'll give you the link. He just re-emphasizing what he said 4 months ago. And I heard him. I listened to the videos when he came out with his videos in October of last year, of 2010. I heard what he had to say, and he said they are wanting another crisis in the Middle East. They want another crisis. He said they didn't want war with Iran, and he was right about that. We haven't gone to war with Iran, but he said they want another crisis in the Middle East. And you think this is happening, what's happening in Egypt, by chance, by accident? I don't think so. I think that there is something in place. You know, these poor people were oppressed on purpose. Trust me, it was no accident that these poor people in Egypt are starving to death and don't have any jobs. This is all problem, reaction, solution. This is all programmed into the cards. This is what the Luciferians have wanted, and they got it. So I'll put the link up. But Lindsey said this. He said, they got their crisis, he said, and he said, I counted the months down. He said 4 or 5 months, I'm not sure exactly. I thought it was going to happen in March by his timetable, but it actually started in February, the end of January. So that was early, you know, it came early. But there's a crisis, and it's what the news is focusing on. So all the other stuff that the Federal Reserve is doing, and all this financial news about Bernanke, all that stuff is on the back burner. Nobody, the mainstream media, doesn't talk about how they're burning down your country, about how they're bankrupting your country, America. You don't hear that. But it's happening. They're distracting you. What's going on in Russia, what's going on in China, and that's what Lindsey said. They would distract your attention. Anyway, the latest videos, he's talking with Alex Jones and Bob Chapman. And one of the things, I want to read something I read on a blog today. And listen to this. The rioting in Egypt is perhaps the biggest single news story so far in 2011. Well, yeah, it's only been a month. Come on, this is from Poor Richard's blog. Look it up. I'll put the link up. But he said 10 things that we should learn from this. I'm saying there's really one thing that you can do something about, but yes, there's 10 things you can learn. When society breaks down, people look for whatever weapons they can find, number 1. When society breaks down, number 2, nobody is safe. Number 3, when society breaks down, protect your women and children. And when people start starving to death, there will be cannibalism, most likely. Watch the movie The Road. I'm telling you, it has happened before. It's recorded in the Bible, and you better know that when people get desperate, they act desperate. Number 4, when society breaks down, criminals do not fear the law. 5, when society breaks down, governments begin hoarding food. 6, when society breaks down, food shortages happen fast. 7, respect for personal property goes out the window. 8, mobs start doing stupid things. 9, society breaks down, there's a power void. 10, outside influences are involved. And let me tell you, right down the line. And number 10 scares me more than anything, because if society breaks down in America, that is when our enemies will attack us. That is when Russia and China will be bold enough to attack us, when America crashes. But I'm telling you, the number 1 thing every one of you can do and must do now, and that is have yourself a store of food. I have made up my mind that I want to have 6 months of food on hand, because if things break down in the Middle East and gas goes to $5 a gallon, food is going to go through the roof. And if Bernanke and the Federal Reserve and all the other rats that are running the country right now bring us down to bankruptcy, and as Lindsey says, the dollar will be dead by 2012, you can bet that you will not be able to afford to buy a loaf of bread. So you better, if nothing else, you'd best stock up on food. That's my advice to everybody right now.